Hi, my name's Adam, and I'm the developer of Hammer. In this video, we're going to talk about the changes in the new release 3.9.0. There's quite a lot in this release, no big new features, but a lot of polish and bug fixes. So let's get started with the first one. I had had a lot of requests where people wanted to share only part of their story. So let's say they had a beta reader and they only wanted to share the new chapter 3 they'd been working on. Previously, when you came in here and you started to do a share, you'd say share with password, and you could give a password expiration date, but it would share the entire story. Now you can check this and choose what to share. So you can share an entire chapter, one individual scene, a couple scenes, whatever it is, and they will only see whatever you select here. Similarly, because not everyone uses a sync server, you could do the same with exporting. So if you go to a story and export, there's a same type of checkbox and the same type of dialogue. So you can now export to whatever format you want and only share the scenes that you want people to read. One other neat feature is if you're a fantasy or sci-fi writer, you might have names of people or places that your spell checking dictionary don't know anything about. So let's say you have a new character and spell check doesn't like it. Well, now if you go to your encyclopedia and you create a new entry for them, and then I go back to the story, it's no longer misspelled. So all of your encyclopedia entries are now fed into the spell check system, and they'll no longer show up as misspellings. So that should be nice. One other thing is previously the scene connections that you see at the bottom would only match for people or places in the encyclopedia. So if you go to a scene and you look at your connections, now we'll match all encyclopedia entry types. So events is one, and you can see here I created the alias Tea Party, and that's actually what it's matching on in this scene. So that should help build out your connections between your encyclopedia and your scenes better. If we go back to that Tea Party, you'll see down here that if you're having a problem with the new spell check feature, you can disable it right here for individual entries, or you can go to the settings for your project and disable it just for the entire project. Or if you just think this is a terrible feature overall, you can go to your global settings and disable it for the entire application. So if it works for you, great. And if it doesn't, you can disable it at many different levels. Another problem I was running into, or rather many of you are running into, is when you shared something on the web, the formatting didn't look the same as it did in the text editor. This has been fixed now. So if we share this publicly, you can see blank lines are preserved, all of the styles are preserved, block quotes are correct, lists, ordered lists, everything that you can do in Markdown is now rendered correctly when you share it on the web or when you export it via any of our other rich text formats like EPUB or RTF or anything like that. So that should make our upcoming writing contest much nicer to read. Another small feature that you probably won't notice is if you come to set up a sync server, when you hit log in, you won't be presented with the big scary dialogue that says, do you want to delete everything, yes or no? Instead, we'll have a much nicer dialogue that only shows itself when you need it and the default is non-destructive. The default is to merge your local data with the new server's data, but you can click replace if you want. This will be the same as the previous behavior, and this will have a further confirmation dialog. So you really can't accidentally delete all of your local stories when trying to set up a new sync server. There was a nasty sync bug that I discovered that appeared to lose user data. The good news is the data wasn't actually lost. It was just put into files on the file system that Hammer was then ignoring. So you could, if you ran into this, recover the files yourself, or you can always, and this is an important one I think a lot of people don't know about, go to Manage Backups here and restore a backup. Each time you sync, one of these backups is created, and so you can always go if something goes wrong and restore a backup from before you synced. Hopefully we've nabbed the last of the syncing protocol bugs, but I've been wrong before. The last big feature is when you're writing a scene and you're on a very wide monitor, you can now change the width of your writing area. So the margins, this was the default previously, but you can make them pretty wide now, and that just sets the maximum. If you shrink the window, it will properly shrink with it, and on mobile, you'll just never see this. If you double click on the handle, it will reset to the original. So hopefully that's useful. This was a often requested feature recently, so there was a lot of smaller features. You'll notice on the left here, the way we're rendering scenes and groups is a little different, and it should be a little clearer what is nested under what, and hopefully that'll clear up a lot of confusion that I was seeing in the community. There's a lot of other minor bug fixes. The scene editor used to wait for a full spell check before you could type in it. That was pretty annoying. That's fixed now. Certain keyboard layouts that I frankly didn't know existed were having problems with shortcuts. Those are fixed now. And a problem with Linux builds that were running new versions of Wayland. They weren't launching. That's fixed now. So yeah, go check out the changelog if you're interested in more details. And if you haven't yet, definitely go check out the writing contest that we have coming up. I think it's going to be a good time. Don't worry about thinking you're not a good enough writer. I'm definitely not a good enough writer, and I'm hosting the thing. So please sign up and we'll have a good time. Thanks for watching.